Hello friends, today in this video I am going to discuss the short story The Darling by Anton Chekhov. In this video I'll discuss introduction to writer, his writing style, and then plot analysis. We will see summary of the short story, and then we analyze the stories through themes. We'll discuss themes, the symbols used in the story. So let's get started. This is the text of the story, and now we'll move on to introduction to writer and his writing style. Anton Chekhov. He was born January 17, 1860, and he was a Russian short story writer, a dramatist, and in 1884 Chekhov released his first book, which is a collection of six humorous stories called The Tales of Melpomene, and another book, Motley Stories, release took place and he got success. And 1887 he was elected to literary fund, and then in the same year he released a collection of short stories called Twilight. And after that Chekhov quit writing for humor magazine, and then he switched to drama and serious fiction. So this is some detail about his works which is not necessary, and we'll move on to writing style of Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov, he was considered the master of modern short story, and his writing style is laconic. Laconic mean the way you express your words in a very precise manner, and precision is there. And so laconic means to say a lot of things, to deliver a lot of things using very few words. You can say it's type of preci, like the way you write preci, compressing large things into smaller ones. And he is best known for his realism, realistic portrayal, or to portray or depict reality. And his stories like complex plot and neat solutions. So the plot of his stories is simple, and there is no neat solution found in his short stories. The readers have to assume or draw their own solution. And he described Russian life of his time, the peasant life, and he discussed place of women in Russian society. And he was the representative of the late 19th century Russian realist school, and he combined the elements of both tragedies and comedies in his writing. And another important thing about his writing is the technique of stream of consciousness. This technique in literature. So in what actually happens in this technique, the writer give access to the inner thoughts of the character. So he tries to capture the natural flow of characters thoughts, and so you felt like that you are inside the mind of a character. So this technique enables us to do so. And literary device he used foreshadowing, to give hint about the upcoming events in future, and personification, giving living qualities to unknown living things. For example, he writes building grows, although it's a quality of a living thing, growth, but he personified it to a building. And time runs. And the misogyny, you found a misogyny in his writing, especially in this The Darling. Misogyny mean hatred towards women, or portrayal women as a weak. uh, so he portrayal will discuss the character of Olenka, the darling, in this short story. And epiphany is also used, which is a sudden moment of sudden realization. So let's move on to the summary of the short story. So the story opens with Olenka. The darling is the nickname of Olenka. So she is the protagonist of the story, the main character of the story, and story is about her. She is the daughter of a retired college assessor. And so what actually happens that she fall in love with Kukin, and after her father's death, they got married. She got married to Kukin, and they have a comfortable life. And soon she adopt all his opinions. So we'll discuss that she having a identity crisis. We'll discuss in detail, and story move on, and she receives an unfortunate. Okay, yes, she telegram about her husband died. So after some time, the husband died, and Olenka met another man called Pastoleva, who is a manager of lumberyard, and she fell in love with him, and soon after they married. And so now the lumber becomes the only thing she thinks about. And after 4 months he dies. He also dies, the second husband of Olenka, and she is left a widow again. And what happened, finally she found herself a new man called Ledema, and he is a veterinary surgeon who launched in a wing of her house during the Olenka's marriage to Vasily. Okay, don't get confused by these names. So this is our Russian names, and they use different titles for the same person. So yes, listening to Ledema and repeat his words. Now she got interested in this person Ledema, and they got a relationship, and the relationship did not result in marriage because Ledema is already a married person. And with no man in her life, Olenka's existence loses meaning, and she has no one to tell her what to do and hold no opinions. And people no longer call her darling, okay, which is a nickname of Olenka. Olenka ages and gets humbly, and her soul become dreary and bitter. And what happens that on July, the Latimer's wife returns, and he added to reconcile him and with his son Sasha. Olenka is glad to see them and insists they move on into her house, and she resides in the lodge. So yes, after some time, the Letema wives leave, and he spend most. So here the Smirnaus. Yes, Smirnau is same as Ledema. It's a kind of title for him or different name for him, and he spent most of his time at work. And Olenka feels, and Olenka now get attached to Sasha, the boy, and she took care of him, and Sasha become a new center of her life. So Sasha Olenka existence find a new meaning. However, he feels rather smothered by all the love and care she give him. And this is expressed in the last words of the story when Sasha exclaimed from sleep. So he got a nightmare, and he said, I'll give it to you. Get away, shut up. So this is the storyline, and now we'll move on to character analysis. The main character, protagonist Olenka, and she is a central character. She is a pretty girl with a kind heart and nice smile. Olenka needs another person, so she has having identity crisis. So she needs another person in her life to give her being a sense. So she adopts another person opinions. She has not opinions of her own, and okay, she cannot live without being loved or in love, and without man in her life, Olenka's existence lose its meaning. So this is character sketch of Olenka, and we'll move to Kukin, the first husband of Olenka. And Kukin is described as a short, gaunt man with despair inscribed on his face, and he was manager of open air theater and Olenka's first husband, as I already told you. And yes, he was always complaining about the weather and his fate that fate is not fortunate for him and things like that, and he's a pessimist, you can say. And then second character, Pastavalo, second husband of Olenka, manager of lumberyard and Olenka's second husband, and he also dies after some time. And then Ledema, the veterinary surgeon, and having romantic love or relationship with Olenka but didn't marry to her, and keep their relation secret. He has a wife and son, Sasha. Okay, and Sasha, yes, the young boy, son of this Ledema, or Smirnov is nickname for Ledema, and he live in Olenka's house, and Sasha is left to Olenka. Olenka makes him the center of her life and wants to be with him all the time. Sasha finds Olenka's love smothering and make him angry and offended. And Ledimar's wife described as a thin, pale woman with a crepe expression, and wife, yes, she's wife, and she moves away to Kharkov to live with her sister and leave her son and husband behind. Now we'll discuss themes in the story. So yes, the major theme is about identity crisis or insecurity, you can say, and it is portrayed through the character of Olenka, that she has no identity of her own, and she depends on other for her living. And outside of, she can be described as a parasite who cannot live without its host, or she cannot live without being loved, or with in relationship with men. So yes, so she lacking identity. And second theme is the theme of love or emotional attachment, you can say. You can merge these are similar. So yes, as already been described, that Olenka, she cannot live without being loved or having in a relationship or emotionally attached to someone. So, without being loved, she felt very lonely and no meaning in her life. And yes, we'll move on to meaning of life. Nihilism. Nihilism mean nothingness or no meaning of life. Yes, without man, she has got no meaning of her life and having no purpose, no opinions of her own. And she felt lonely, and gender roles have been discussed in this short story. And in this story, men are portrayed as opinionate individuals with some purpose and occupation, dominant position in the society. And on the other hand, women are presented as a weak, inferior, and they depend on men. So gender roles are there, and fate is also there. Fate is portrayed through the character of Kyukin. He is always complaining about his fate, that fate has not been fortunate for him, as he is yes, he talk about God's will, or they pray. And you can merge this role fate with religion. Yes, they are similar. Religion is also there as a theme. And so, as Kukin described, that God has a plan and people on earth simple have to accept this. So, these are some themes, and now we'll move on to symbolism. We'll discuss some symbols, motifs, allegory in the short story. And Sasha, when this boy stand as a symbol of the last hope for Olenka. And when Olenka is alone with nobody to talk, to borrow ideas or thoughts from, she get this boy, and he felt her life with a kind of sense, with happiness after years of loneliness and sadness. And we'll see the darling symbol. Darling, the nickname of Olenka. Olenka symbolize here those people who adjust others' taste, other people' opinion, having not interests or opinions of their own thoughts or point of view, and she cannot live fully or happily when she doesn't have someone who she would imitate or follow, and she actually doesn't have her own position in life. And Olenka's men allegory is used here. Olenka's husbands and just men who she dealt with represent different influences of people, and one of them impose on Olenka's cheerfulness, another sedated, and other teach her other views, thoughts, and traits. And Olenka is depend on them, on others, and ruined by rain. A metaphor is used. Kukin is always complaining about rain that does not stop for almost 3 months, and every evening it is raining and his business suffer. And he is the manager of open air theater. Yes, it's ruining me. He is complaining that it prevents him from earning some good money. And a simile is used like in a hen coop, and there it is interesting fact that hens do not fall asleep while their rooster is out of the coop. And yes, coop, a house for chickens, you can say. And yes, so it is related with Olenka in this manner, that she did not get sleep without her husband or the person with whom she engaged, and she herself likened herself to hens that are always uneasy and unable to sleep when their rooster is not there. And we'll see the inner emptiness as a simile used here. When Olenka is left alone, she feels more than just solitude, and she feels emptiness inside. Before, she had an explanation for everything and would have given her opinion freely, no matter and what about, and there was the same emptiness in her heart and brain as in her yard, and it was a galling and a bitter as a taste of wormwood. So it is described here, and we'll move on. So no, this is the end, and hope you understand. Thank you. The notes are provide you the note. Then the link is in the description. Please click the link to get access.